Hello everybody and welcome back to the Pokemon Black Eeveelock. Last episode, as you can see in the overlay, we sadly lost Flareon, but today we're going to start grinding up Glaceon a little bit, and I probably should actually just Google where I can find the EXP share and maybe the Lucky Egg, so that this grinding and level grinding of lower Pokemon is actually going to be a lot easier, because this is a wild Pokemon that's level 13, and I can't really use Leafeon against this Pidove. Luckily, I of course also have Jolteon to deal with this, but this is going to be a little bit of an issue, and I might actually just spend a couple of minutes of this episode trying to get a couple of levels in on Glaceon so that it won't die immediately to everything that touches it. So just like 3 or 4 wild Pokemon battles. As you can see, they'll go pretty quickly, but I'll get a little bit of a experience boost from it. And I think you get to the Lucky Egg after the Chargestone Cave. And I think the EXP share might actually be downright just a post-game item. As far as I can remember, maybe it's not, maybe I'm remembering something wrong, but as you can see, that's just a level, and I would actually wager that to be almost 2 levels, probably. We'll see now with Timber. Timber's always a weird sprite for me, because on a low resolution you can't really see his nose. So I always kind of assumed that was just a spot. And as you can see, it's almost level 7. So this might actually take me to level 8. I always assumed Timber's nose was just a spot and he didn't really have a nose. And that, if you look at it that way, his sprite is really, really weird. Of course, now in modern days with 3D modeling, and we can definitely see it as a nose. Back in the day of Pokemon Black and White when it was first released, not so much the case. Anyway, enough talk about the game. I probably will talk a little bit more about the game when things get a little dire. I want to talk about a couple of things that happened to me last week, because grocery store, there's a lot of things that happen at the grocery store which are like anecdote worthy. So I was at the checkout. Usually these things apparently happen at the checkout, mostly because that is the point where I'm so bored I'm actually looking around at my surroundings. Usually when I'm in the grocery store, I just look for the stuff I need to have and then get the hell out of there, because I don't want to be there any longer than is strictly necessary. Again, Glaceon is getting up there, so I'm comfortable doing a train battle now. But I was at the checkout and I looked over at one of the other lanes where people were checking out, and I saw a old lady, and I'm not like, oh, I saw a lady that's 16. No, this lady was like probably somewhere around 80 years old, and even though I am super effective against you, I'm still gonna switch to Leafeon. So about 80 years old, and she had a loaf of bread, which is fair. 80-year-old woman, she also needs to eat, right? I mean, at least I suspect they do. I didn't want to use Viral Lip. It doesn't really matter. She also had 4 cans of energy drink, which is baffling to me, because if she opens that and even smells it, she might just get a heart attack. And I assume maybe it is for her. Maybe her caffeine tolerance is so goddamn high, together with all the other chemicals in it, she can take it. And as a matter of fact, at that age, she might actually like be physically, chemically addicted to it, to the point where if she stops drinking it, her heart might stop, which would in a way make it a medicine. That's weird to think about. The more realistic alternative is she's buying them for a grandkid, like a grandson or a granddaughter, which is coming to visit, and she knows they like that kind of stuff. At which point I think, does she even know what she's buying? Because, it's 4 times effective. I'm going to try. This might be a very bad idea, but I'm just 4 levels lower. It won't want to KO me, not by a long shot. And this is stab and 4 times effective. It is flying type already, isn't it? I think it is. Anyway, so either of those options, she's either going to drink it herself, at which point she might die, or she might need to do it in order not to die, or she's buying it for someone else, at which point does she even know what she's buying? Because, I mean, I buy that stuff for myself sometimes. I don't drink it a lot. Let me concentrate here for a second. I don't drink it a lot. I usually, when I have to get up at like 5 or 6 in the morning, I probably should have switched out here. I get a can so I can start my day, and then I get a can halfway through the day when I'm feeling roughly dead. That's the only really situation where I drink it, and mixing it with certain types of alcohol also kind of takes away a little bit of the edge of the alcoholic drink. Anyway, it's not good for you. I mean, I think it was about 3 or 4 episodes ago I talked about Mountain Dew and how you can dissolve a dead rat in it. It's pretty much the same situation here. So would you buy that for your grandson or granddaughter? Because I don't want to say I would be the ideal... You do heal me, don't you? No, you challenge me. Just because, well, she is a nurse, so afterwards she might heal me. So long story short, I really want to know the story behind that lady and her groceries, because the combination of those two is what intrigues me. Because there was nothing else. Just a loaf of bread, actually half a loaf of bread if I remember correctly. And those 4 cans. So there's so many ways that story could go, and I really need to kill this Muna before I fall asleep, because that's gonna be bad. Just wanted to share that with you guys. Nothing life improving, nothing very important. I mean, if you're watching this, don't expect me to talk about important things. So let's talk about something that is more... Actually, no, this might actually be less useful for you. That was a psychic death move. For some reason, I thought it was Aurora Beam, and I was gonna die, but it's just silent. I'm good. So something that might be either more useful or less useful to any practical purposes, depending on your point of view. The other day I was wondering, and you might think I'm crazy for wondering this, and you would be mostly right. How many languages exist? It might sound really stupid, but there's countries which have multiple languages within a country. They're rare, but oh my god, do I outspeed? I need to. Do I kill? I need to, thank you. China, for instance, I believe has a couple of different variations of Chinese, which are officially different languages. Down here, in the Netherlands, we have Dutch, which is the normal language, and then of course we have regional sub-languages, but one of those is actually officially recognized as a different language, and it should be, because it sounds way different from anything spoken in the rest of the country and world. Well, it sounds a little bit more like Scandinavian things, like normal Dutch is a little bit like Belgium or German, and if somebody from the US hears anybody speak any of those 3 languages, they just kind of go together. Sometimes people add Swedish into that. At that point, you're just dumb. I'm sorry to inform you. At that point, you're just stupid. But I don't know how you would say it in English, the name of the separate language, but it's more like Scandinavian, more like Norwegian, Finnish, that kind of stuff. It's officially a different kind of language within one country. And then, of course, the actual Belgian language, I mean, there's Dutch in Belgium. There's level 16, that's not good. There's French, and then I think there's a little part that's German as well. Might as well try this now, actually, see if it's super effective. I think it might be. This is definitely not going to be super effective, so what am I going to do with this? Not a whole lot, that's what I'm going to do with this. Just raise a leaf. But, I was talking about languages. The Dutch language within... Oh, that does nothing. Within Belgium is actually not Dutch. It's a different language altogether. It's called Flemish, right? So I was thinking, how many different languages exist? Because it's rather easy to count the different countries, and even then there might be some kind of difference, because there is weird borders in the world where a part of a country is secluded from the rest of the country because there's a country in between, that kind of stuff. Do you count it as one country or two countries? I think just like politically, officially, that is one country. So you could count those, but counting the amount of languages, I mean, do you count American language as a different language from British language, as a different language from Australian English, all that kind of stuff? I personally, I don't know about Australian, but I would tend to say it's a different, like, is it an accent or is it a language? I don't know. It's really difficult to decide this kind of thing, and luckily that's not my job. But I would definitely say that American English and British English are two different things, because they actually have like different words, and I don't know if there's officially different grammar, but in everyday use, words get used differently. And as far as that goes, I mean, within the UK or the British Isles, however the hell you like to call it, I still don't exactly... When I think about it, I think I can realize what the difference is, but I usually, just like the rest of the world, use them more or less interchangeably. You've of course got England, which is what we usually refer to when we say UK, we just mean England. Then there's also Scotland, which is that an accent? It's a really thick accent if it's just an accent. And then there's, I don't know how people from Wales talk. I suspect it's not too different because there's not a lot of stereotypes around it. But then there's Irish. Irish people. Also very different in sound. So where's the line between... depending on my level... you can be super effective against me too, so let's switch. So when is something a different language? Because it's definitely Dutch and Flemish are two different languages, but they're really similar. If you speak one, you'll understand the other. And to a certain extent, way less, but the same could be said for German. If somebody who speaks Dutch well listens to somebody who speaks German, and they don't speak too fast, that's a really big caveat there, they'll understand most of what the German person is saying. Because the words might not be the same, and the grammar definitely isn't the same, but the basic gist of it and the sounds it makes are similar. Not the same, but they're similar. Also, I walk back all the way to the Pokemon Center while there's a nurse right outside the forest. I just realized that, yeah. So if those two languages are different, Flemish and Dutch, I think there should be a couple of different English languages. And maybe I am just talking about nonsense and American English is actually officially a different language from UK English. And maybe within the UK, Scottish is actually a different language than English and Irish. And maybe Americanese is a thing, or Australianese, I don't know. Maybe this has already all been sorted out and I'm now just, like, years later, maybe I should have switched. Actually, Glacian is doing a pretty good job, wow. I wasn't paying attention, that could have been the end of Glacian. I'm gonna be very honest with you, that could have definitely been the end of Glacian. I probably should pay a little bit more attention. I don't think any kind of lock is actually really fitted to just rambling. I had a mini heart attack there for a second. I thought I wasn't recording the game audio, but only my microphone audio, which that would have been bad. Yeah, let's do one more trainer. There's not even a Team Plasma grunt. I just want to grind. I just want Glacian to be at a decent level when I get to the next gym. And the gym after that, of course. I just don't know what the gym after that is. That would be the 5th gym. Something tells me it's ground type. I just don't know. Oh my god, I need to switch out. I probably shouldn't think Glacian is as powerful as that. taking down a herdier like this. I don't know what the max level is. Is it 30 now? I hope it's 30, otherwise I'm going to be royally screwed. It's got to be 30, right? Because I'm facing normal strains with level 18 Pokemon. It can't be that my level cap is still at 20. Because the next gym is probably going to have like 25, 26. I would assume. So I've got to have raised my cap to level 30. I'm definitely going to go back to the nurse after this. Because herdier is actually much more difficult to not die against. Level 15. Glacian, you're doing very well. Icy Wind. Is that more powerful than Powder Snow? Is my question. I'm going to check. And I obtained a Chesto Berry, which... I mean, they came in useful last episode, I think. I think it was last episode, right? Pretty sure it was. Okay, so why am I going into the bag? I'm still I'm still upset about the whole Rock Smash thing that could have saved Flareon. That's definite. Icy Wind is definitely more powerful, but doesn't spread out, I think. It also reduces the... It's just flat out better. Unless you're doing a double battle, it's better. And if you're doing a double battle, it's still better because it's very strong. Because 40 will be divided into 20 for each Pokemon in a double battle, but if it's super effective and your level allows it, it's still better to use a split move. Of course. How long have we been going for? Not long enough to end of the episode yet, but not short enough to do the entirety of Pinwheel Forest. I mean, this is being blocked, right? Can I just... Wait a second. What am I supposed to do? That's the Moss Rock for... Okay, so don't level up Eevee here. Because if I level up Eevee, I'll get another Leafeon. Is this the way I'm supposed to go, or is this the optional path? I'm not quite sure. I think when I just go up over that bridge, that's where I'm supposed to go. So if I don't get a clear answer to where I'm supposed to go before the end of this episode, which is going to be pretty much after this trainer battle, I'll go up north next episode. This is another good way of testing out how well I'll do against the next gym, because I think the gym leader literally has a Vanipede. I do outspeed something that's a level higher. At least a Vanipede that's a level higher. And it's got shit special defense, as it turns out. So, I think Glaceon will be a pretty good asset not to fight against fighting type Pokemon. I'm going to switch train Aspian a little bit too. Now that Glaceon can stand on its own a little bit, I think Aspian is going to be very useful as well, because of course there's fighting types, but there's also the poison elements to the next gym, because all of the bug type Pokemon are also going to be poison types. And Aspian is just a good special attacker. The only really bad thing here is that Flareon is the only one of the eeveelutions that's really a good physical attacker. Which stinks, because that's literally like 2 physical fire type moves. So physical attacks were always going to be a little bit of an issue in this playthrough, but now that I don't have anything to deal them, I mean Eevee, I suppose, could be a decent physical attacker. I think I gave it a nature for physical attacking because only Flareon had physical attacks. But Eevee, it's Eevee. Eevee is more so a token than an actual Pokemon. It's more a weight that weighs down my party than it is something that I want to use, because using it also risks me losing the entire lock, because I made Eevee my lifeline, pretty much. But I'm going to check on Eevee's stats and the rest of the team at the same time, because I need to know about physical attack. You see, not a physical attack. A special attack is literally more than twice, 2.5 times actually. Exactly 2.5 times, wow. It's physical attack. Okay, never mind. Leafeon is very, very physical. I thought Razor Leaf was a special attack. So we have physical attacker. And then we have Eevee, which tends to lean to physical, it seems, but it's just too low to really see. And then we've got another special attacker, and a physical attacker, but more so a physical tank, and a special tank, just a tank in general. So Leafian is good for the physical attacks. That's good to remember. I'm pretty sure this is the way we're supposed to go, actually, because I remember going this way. I am, for once, not going to run away from trainer. You can't run away from trainer battles. From a random battle, because I could use the experience, honestly. And the more I can grind up Glaceon against this kind of thing without having to switch train it, the more I can grind up Aspian later on. And actually, I've got a brilliant idea. Why don't I switch train Aspian by using Glaceon, so I don't overlevel Leafian, and they both get experience. And I think these are trainers, so maybe this is a good point to just test that theory. Okay, so the second one is a trainer. After the first one, I was like, okay, so I can just go on, but of course it was a trainer. It's got one Pokemon. Pansage is the grass type. That's amazing, actually. Other than the fact that Glaceon is a little bit low in levels to deal with this Pansage, Leafian is sure as hell not going to do anything against it either, so I think an Icy Wind should do at least half his HP. Leech Sheet, it's annoying, but that's about it. So I need to do a little bit more than half, because he's going to restore like 3 HP probably. It might just one-hit KO. There's a real possibility of that happening as well, I'll be honest with you. It definitely one-hit killed. Icy Wind is a really good move to have in my move pool. I'm very much more confident. When I started this episode, I was really confident that I was probably going to lose something, and that the loss of Flareon was the first step to losing the entire lock. Now that we're back in the levels a little bit, and Glaceon's gone from literally level 5 to level 16 or 17 in one episode, Aspian seems to be doing pretty good, Leafian is decent, the rest of my party is starting to lag behind a little bit, but I have gotten confidence back that we actually can move on like this without Flareon and finish this lock. So next time we'll see if somebody else dies and I'll lose all my confidence again, but until then, do not forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you have enjoyed the videos. Hopefully you have. Until then, I'll see you all later. Bye. Also, it's 4:20.